Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to a great episode of It's Since 92, giving you guys the latest and exclusive content on the music, entertainment news, and inspirational quotes by me. Points back. Alright, so guys, I've been waiting to do this video. I had to redo it. But we're here now, so it's been a minute. And these girls back. So I'm gonna talk about this new What Happened to R&B. This is part 10, and it's crazy and amazing that it's been a couple months since I did one, pretty much more than that. But I'm gonna talk about, really it's like this. I'm just interested to see and witness and hear how music will sound in R&B and hip hop, in R&B soul music in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And I feel that listening to like the Ari Lennoxes and the Jasmine Sullivans and the Herds and the Elle Varners and the Lucky Days and the June's Diaries and the Normanis any like up and coming R&B soul singers in the male department, let me know. The Chloe and Halle's. Now I feel that because I'm very excited for new albums. I'm anticipating Ella Mai's new album, Heart on My Sleeve. That's supposed to come out next month, May 6th. So I'm looking forward to listening to the album. And I feel that, it's pretty much, like I said, a new, era of music. But we already know that. But I have to really be honest too. I feel like mainstream radio, we know how mainstream radio is. But with mainstream radio, we don't really hear a lot of R&B soul music. We don't. Now, you guys know, like I said, I've always promoted R&B soul music, artist, musicians. I've even witnessed a few concerts here and there. But mainstream radio, until we really get to hear more like neck to neck, back to back, it was how, especially when I was coming up as a millennial, and it was like you got to hear the R&B soul singers, and you got to hear the singers, the singers, the hip hop artists. You got to hear just different versatility, different walks of life. Plus, the music had more substance, and like I said, nowadays, like I've noticed, like the stand-up R&B has been experimental, but it's more like that trap R&B mixed with hip hop. Mixed with that mumble rap, because mumble has taken over, right? But I feel like listening to certain artists, the ones that I've mentioned, they really have kept the genre alive. R&B soul music has never been dead, okay? It's just that the music industry does not want to hear more of the soul. That's why I said, really, once it's in part, especially that music platform, BET gonna have to do a lot of changing. And most likely I'm gonna do a video, and I feel like I'm probably gonna really tap into more why BET was such a huge staple in black entertainment, black music. But see, the thing is, it went downhill, right? Because every time I watch the BET Awards nowadays, you just hear like the same old. Then the BET Hip Hop Awards, I was like, no, the BET Hip Hop Awards, they ain't really cutting it like they used to be, because really, to be able to listen to like how artists, it was okay for them to be different, even when I had a bunch of CDs in my collection. And when I listen to my favorite artists I grew up with, you had the production, you had the lyrics, the content, and everything just fell in the right direction. And then the artists that stood out the vocal styling, vocal arrangements. I always talk about my favorite singers and singers because it doesn't matter. Anybody that can carry a beat within the flow of a production, they got what they're singing. Pop song, R&B song, country song, a rock and roll song, hip hop song, an R&B song. Black musicians are going to have to take back that creative control. But then it's really disappointing because even the new current black musicians, I feel like they're not doing enough. This is my constructive criticism. I'm not mentioning no names, your girl ain't mentioning no names, but this is what I have noticed because stories of artists that have been like, they've been solo musicians, solo artists, they've been a girl band, a boy band, and they've been in the music industry. But then years later, and then they pretty much were at top of the game. The whole total package, the talent, the work ethic, creativity. They've been out there, they got a couple of hits to name. And they pretty much have really, I remember, okay, especially some artists that I really, really love, and I really still, fuck with their music to this day. But when I found out how years later, and then they told the stories about how people, snakes in the grass and all that stuff, and then it fucking affected their music career, because it ain't no walk in the park. And I feel like I'm sick and tired too of people marginalizing and putting certain artists in the box. Well, you should only do R&B and soul because how mainstream the record labels, they really money hungry. They're like a catch eye grab. So it's like eye candy in a way, but then they're not really. It's and especially when you're a black musician with so much of that caliber of talent, where you got some folk in that music label, they'll be like, oh, well, it's too soul. It's too soul. The production's on point, the sound, even if you got pop influences, and even if you have an R&B soul pop record, record executives, because like I said, I've heard stories how in the record offices where you got like the A&Rs, the team, the labels, they be like, oh no, well, if you put this out, it's not going to have impact, and like it's not going to be fitting in with today's kind of music. And then you have artists that took control of their, creativity, vision. They said, forget it, I'm gonna put it out anyway. So that's respect, right? And you got like even artists of color who are mixed, and that mixed biracial. It depends on who the artist is. And I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm really gonna really turn things up because I really have witnessed how some artists, it's like I saw how coming up they had their own sound, they had their own swag, they had that really creative input. Their image was on point. And then, like I said, they went through so much hurdles to try to, sustain it, because that whole thing about, well, this, your image is just not it. But that's why I said, don't even, to be honest, just do your thing as an independent artist. And this is why I know artists that do sign record labels nowadays, you're really not in full control of your image, your music career. It's like you have the, record companies, they just want you to fall in line with what they want, that's marketable, that sells. And I feel like R&B, soul music, hip-hop music right now, there are some artists that like, okay, Ari Lennox, she's freaking amazing, okay? And her image as a black woman of color music, she can do R&B, soul, hip-hop. She got it hands down. And even for her being a black woman, a dark-skinned black woman of color, yes, I'm going to talk about it. They're not putting my dark-skinned black sisters down, but I understand about how the game goes, because like I said, she literally, I see her breaking barriers. She's already doing it. She's already doing it. And as a like R&B soul singer, I look at her as a songstress because she can sing, and she really got it. So it was really refreshing to see her get more exposure for herself, because we don't really, to be honest, it's only a handful of R&B singers, soul singers that can really bring that excitement in music. Jazmine Sullivan. And Jazmine Sullivan, she definitely is another black woman of color. I'm gonna have to be honest too, because I remember Jazmine Sullivan. She came out when I was like, I believe I was in the 10th grade when she came out. Like in the 10th grade when she came out. Or in 9th grade when she came out. And I think with her, it's really amazing to see her really sustain growth, because she, her image and even with her music, when she came out, she had like that really, she still got it, but she had like that R&B soul twang to it, but it just had more like that lushful, melodic. She just brought back like that R&B soul. And I feel like even in 2009, no, I think she came out in 2008 or 2009. But even when I was in high school, I remember black musicians still dominated the airwaves. They still dominated the mainstream radio. But see, as time went on, it's just started to get more generic. Pop music was dominating more, which was fine. But R&B soul music, it kind of was pushed away from mainstream. You get what I'm saying? It wasn't really promoted enough. Then, especially with like the R&B soul hip hop artists, they was in like a predicament where it was like, well, I need to promote myself. And then really what was sad too is that I noticed that I was listening to like stories of like how musicians, they said, well, it's kind of like, the record companies, let's see, before the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, R&B soul music dominated just like pop music dominated. But it seems like right now, it's a new era of music. I'm trying my best kind of, man, this is my personal opinion, and people have a right to disagree with me or not disagree with me, but I feel like the new era of music is more generic, it's more watered down, it's more stripped away from what we're used to hearing. And I have watched other music bloggers, and I have to give their credit where it's due. I'm not going to mention their names because I respect, but I really, really respect that they, how they, have really break it down. But I have to be honest though, I'm starting to see, this has been going on for years, but okay, just like how even with the new, black musicians, where it's like I just want them to have creativity, have substance, don't make no watered down music, and make 3-minute, 4-minute records, and make a 5-minute record. Even the hip hop artists, because now it's like 2-minute records, especially when you have a really nice melodic, especially like that bass, and especially when you got like that hard, heavy hitting, like, that grittiness. You got grittiness, so that's the thing, you got it, you got the grittiness to it, then you can do some things. And I also feel that, even with pop music, I feel like I like it now, but I kind of feel like it's also been generic and stripped down. You got these catchy songs here and there. I mean, you got catchy songs here and there, but I feel like even now, as I was listening to, okay, The Weeknd. Oh my goodness, oof, I love The Weeknd. To be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of The Weeknd when he came out, but see now, I'm a huge fan, and it happens, you know. Some artists you may not understand, you may not like it, you may not pay attention to as much, but you looking at catalog and music, The Weeknd, he's one of these musicians as a, you know, male musician. I can't put him in R&B, I can't put him in soul, I can't put him in pop. He's a good example of having that eclectic and having that enigma, and his image is well, you know, his image is represented. Now I don't know if he's fully black. It doesn't even, to me, it don't matter at this point. And I'm gonna talk about it later, because the music is the music. Regardless if you're black, you're white, you're mixed, whatever, you make good music and you can connect with your fans. You can do it, period. So the thing is, what I love about him, he got this new album called Dawn FM. I did a review of it. Please go check it out. This album is really good because it has like the R&B, soul pop, the nostalgia, and that dance music. And listening to The Weeknd's previous projects, he has really elevated. He has really shown growth as a musician. He's not just an artist, he's a musician, because he was able to find his sound even in underground independent artists. And he has been out for a while, you know, and for him, mainstream, even when I was in college, you know, and how, you know, it takes a while for some artists to get into that mainstream level. But what I really love about him, and he's not the first artist, and he will never be the last artist, there have been other artists before him, that they stayed true to themselves, that they didn't have to fit in to make good music. See? So it was like, okay, cool. And then for him to be able to be like, okay, his sound's more versatile. And I'm not going to compare him to other, you know, male musicians, because there's only one of them. There's only one of him. But I do hear influences of a Prince. I do hear influences of a Michael Jackson. I hear influence, and I would say influence of, I'll be sure, or influence of, because The Weeknd pretty much got like a real nice groovy, and he got like that edge and that spark. And I really love the fact that his team and management, you know, I know he had to make changes, I'm pretty sure, most likely, but I'm glad that he was able to sustain his artistry. What makes him stand out? The same thing, it's the same thing for black musicians. You know, Ari Lennox, Jasmine Sullivan, and I'm gonna talk about Chloe and Halle, because as a group, they have been doing their thing. But then I have a issue with Chloe's artistry now. Chloe got it, period. Okay, I will always support her, because she got it. But these recent singles, where I really and listen, I don't really, in my honest opinion, I just don't think that the route that she's going for suits her. And I'll break it down, you know, but people like her music, the music she puts out now, that's fine. I'm not gonna, you like her music, cool, it doesn't bother me that you like her music. But I'm just concerned for her, because I feel that the music that she's going for, it has more like that R&B, hip hop more of like that mainstream trap, like that catchiness, which is cool. But I hope that her artistry has that R&B soul to it still, because she came from the Kids Are Alright, and she came from what's that song now? Probably Ungodly Hour. So with that being said, and I even noticed that she put out 2 singles. Okay, she put out Have Mercy, and she put out Treat Me, right? So those 2 singles pretty much showcase her, delivery, her vocals and all that. So she has like that R&B hip hop soul to it. Now, Have Mercy, when it came out, I was like, okay, cool. I like it. I like the song. At first it wasn't like I didn't like it. I had to let it grow on me more. I said, okay, cool. The song got like that bass, that grittiness. Have Mercy got like that real, it's in your face. It's like real, like melodic. It just had that bass to it, grittiness, that griminess. But then here we have Treat Me, and I'm like, as I listen to the song Treat Me, and I'm like, it ain't it. And here's my thing. I feel like she should have put out an R&B soul song after Have Mercy, because I feel like the Treat Me song is kind of like another, I wouldn't say another Have Mercy, but it's like the same, direction, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like this song, and then when I heard this sample, and I said, holy crap, that song samples Bubba Sparks, Booty Booty Booty, Rockin' Everywhere, and I'm like, that song came out when I was like in the 8th grade, or 6th grade, or 7th, or whatever. And I'm like, I know they could have done a lot better than that. The music producers, and I'm like, and in the song, it's like, it's that typical generic ratchet music. It just don't have no imp to it. Yeah, it got like that, edginess, but it just don't have that flavor. And I feel like I feel like that record, I don't want to say she, because she got it. The record just fell to the floor. It just missed the mark, because it's like typical ratchet, cash money. It just doesn't, and I feel like, and I hope and pray that people around her don't set her up for failure. I hope and pray, because really when it comes down to it, the vocal arrangements on point. She's singing, and you can hear her vocals now. But when I'm used to hearing like an R&B soul hip hop record, I'm hearing some more. I hear the melodic, I hear the hip hop, I hear the something that another beat come in and it switches up. Because as I listen to my CDs of my favorite artists, it ain't just one beat. There's another beat come in. And then it's like, oh snap, that's where that song Treat Me, it just don't have it. It doesn't take me there like how Have Mercy had took me there. You see what I'm saying? So I kind of feel like, I hope that with her debut album, we get to hear the versatility. We get to hear the switches of the production, because for being honest, the kind of artist she is as a singer, because when I was listening to The Kids Are Alright, and I was listening to The Ungodly Hour, those albums, they bring a lot of that, substance, authenticity, and real, like that really grittiness. And I kind of feel that the route that Chloe's going for is really I just hope that she still has that R&B soul flavor. I would like to hear, a mid-tempo R&B soul song. I would like to hear a ballad from her. Cause see, this is the thing that I don't like, and this is why I grew up with like the Aretha Franklins. I grew up with the Anita Bakers. I grew up with the Patti LaBelle's. No, I'm not comparing. I'm just saying. But to even see these really talented, like R&B female musicians for themselves, they gotta do it for themselves, like the previous, right? Because really, it's like the record industry doesn't want to strip away the R&B soul music and just repackage it and redefine it as putting something else, and I don't like it. But hey, people have the right to agree with me or disagree with me, but that's what I've been hearing for a couple of years. And I feel that, even for me to witness my favorite artist in concert, okay, Elle Varner. Check out my review to Elle Varner, an intimate experience with Elle Varner. Elle Varner has been one of my favorite musicians, and I have followed her music career. And it's really amazing that she's going to be back out there, and she's going to have a new album called Self. And let me tell you something, we know about like Conversational Lush, the mixtape. We know about Perfectly Imperfect. We got the Elevation, okay? So this Self album, I know it's going to be real great. And even going to see her, it was really amazing, such a blessing, because she's another R&B soul musician, hip hop. She's not just R&B soul, she's more hip hop. She's really more like that R&B soul hip hop category, but her music got like different elements of pop, rock and roll, and her voice, her singing. She has a very beautiful, raspy, soulful voice. The kind of records that she put out, like Only Wanna Give It To You, featuring J. Cole, Refill, I Don't Wanna Dance, we got, I know a lot of her music. The back of my Cold Case, See Me Tonight, Fuck It All, For Me, what you call it, what's another song, Kinda Love, Those, Birthday, featuring 50 Cent. See, and I have followed her music, so I know. But the thing is, with her, and even she said she had to, rebrand herself as a musician, and she was like saying how Refill, that song is in my honest opinion, one of her well-known big songs. The reason why, and even when she said in the interview, and she said, this is a recent interview, she said it's almost as close to Take the Fiddle Out. And then when she presented to the record, she's like, it was a whole Take the Fiddle Out. I'm glad that didn't happen. She's glad it didn't happen. You know why? Because it was the extra spark that made the song pop. See, that's what I'm saying. It gotta be something that, what can make the song pop? And it's not always necessarily that, like these musicians don't have it. It's how the music industry is set up. But you can defy against the odds. So that would be great. I feel that even for her, that's why I'm very happy and excited that she's come back with a new album. But that's just a good example that I'm giving to you guys. Cause see, R&B and soul music, it was okay to be different. It's really the production value, and then in the record labels, and depending on music producers who you work with, it depends. That's why I said like it would be best for like upcoming musicians. Don't be afraid to work with an underground independent musician. This is a music producer, and this is my honest opinion about this. because I have studied and I really listen to even underground music producers, even if they're not well known, and they say, listen, keep your stuff to yourself. Just work with who you want to work with and create that magic. You be trial and error, but because this, in my honest opinion, I don't really think that, I don't want to say, I just want to be positive, but I just want for the current underground music producers to bust their ass the right way and create a sound for themselves, and don't let the music industry, dictate them. Oh, you gotta make it like everybody else. You got your sound, gotta be like everybody. No, fuck that, fuck it. Because when I was listening to stories of Missy Elliott, Timberland, Static, okay, Static Major. Don't get me started, but I'm sorry. But how they were able to find themselves and then help artists such as Aaliyah, okay, Tweet, who else? God, it's a whole bunch. It was a whole bunch of talented, genuine. But that's the thing. The thing is, it's kind of the way how people would say, you just never know who you can connect with. And that's the beautiful thing, because you got people that they'll say stuff like, because it was hard, it was challenging, but I never gave up on the music career. It depends on the music producer. And then also, you gotta be careful, because these damn messed up music producers, they're predators, they're abusers. Stay away from their freaking asses, period. But the thing is, it's like this. I hear a lot of the talent, I hear it, but I just want the talent to be how you're making a meal and you have to have certain ingredients and you can't rush through it to make a really good meal. So the results come in, it's that's amazing. That's what I want. I don't want these musicians to have to sell a dream. I want them to be themselves. I want them to have longevity, because that's all that matters. But so you really have to really look at the bigger picture. And then plus, I kind of feel that lots of times, the music industry is a fast-paced music industry, but at the same time, I feel like for the independent, underground, R&B, soul musicians, and even the, hip-hop musicians, they just gonna have to have a game plan and a trajectory and say, listen, I'm gonna focus on this. I'm gonna build my artistry. I'm gonna build my sound. Also, a songwriter, they're able to write their music, and begin to have their own record label, creating their music, be an audio engineer, be a music producer. They can do it, because what happens is that, once your name is out there, you want to stay consistent, connect with your fans. Also, I'm gonna talk about social media, because really, like I said, I like social media, but there has been an issue too with how the fans kind of get, real too doing all willy-nilly, because we're not in our favorite artist's shoes. We're not, to get up every day and do what they do. Plus, I feel like you gotta have boundaries, and like I said, they're busy creating a studio. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of hard work, sacrifice. Plus, they can't be on Twitter 24/7 or Instagram 24/7, because it takes the time to create music and projects. And then lots of times I have witnessed toxic ass people on that damn freaking social media. I'm like, y'all ain't got no lives, y'all ain't got nothing productive to do. So you just gotta, be mindful that you know, they're human beings. So, and I feel that even as a person that really loves the music, and that's what my favorite artist, it's like, hey, when they come out with a project, I will look into it. I will review it. They have a show, save up, go see them. That's just our role. But that's why I feel like as time goes on, R&B is, R&B is already making a fucking comeback. But I feel like it's gonna, I just feel, this is my personal opinion, how it was, like how I was coming up, it's going to get more out there, and it's going to push into mainstream. So it's going to push, and it's going to be like, oh snap, oh, what's this new sound? And it's going to be how it was where millennials were coming up. Because every time I listen to a throwback song of a record that I grew up listening to, I was like, wow. And you can still hear it. It's timeless. It ain't no cookie cutter. It's a song that at the time of the era that came out and it popped, and then 10 years later, down the road, it still sounds good. That's what I want for these new artists, these current artists. Make records that just don't look at as a hit record, but have fun with it. But bring something that you can also relate to this generation. But you also have to also be careful, because you know, when it comes down to your sound, your image, you have to have the right people in your circle to help you as well. Then I want to talk about what you call it. I'm almost getting ready to forget what I was getting ready to say. But yeah, so like I said, you got like I said, and even with like even the old school, you know, like the generation that they grew their favorite artists, you know, and even they even like some of the new current artists, they say, wait a minute, that sound is something different. Them a lot, it's like that tradition. And I feel like the traditional R&B soul music and the traditional hip hop music need to be back to mainstream, but with a whole new sound, you see? So it's like, I kind of feel like that will benefit, then, you know, you sound the same, you know, and yeah. So you gotta, like I said, you know, just have to really, you know, be mindful and be careful, because like I said, you know, it ain't no joke. And plus, like I say, even listening to like how, you know, people will say stuff like, yeah, you know, people didn't believe in the record, or the record was passed down, the record, they didn't like the record, which is fine, and then I got the record, and then it became a hit record for me. So that's how it happens. Or man, there's been instances where artists already had their stuff, and they already had that their record meant for them. And you just don't know how this music industry flows. And like music producers, they have to hold on to their integrity, and they got to hold on to their bad ass and be like, you know what, this record's meant for this one, so that's that. But that's all I have to say. Because yeah. So what do I look forward for? I don't know. I mean, you guys let me know. Let's have this conversation. You know, it's good, because I know people, you know, like I said, when we know about like representation of black musicians and people of color in music and how things, you know, manifest. So yeah, let's have a conversation, and let me know how you guys feel down below. And let me know your favorite, you know, upcoming artists, independent artists that I don't even know. You know, let me know, hey, Gifted Since 92, do a review, could you do a music review for this one? Because like I said, you know, it's a lot, but let me know. So stay tuned on the next episode of Gifted Since 92. Share your thoughts and your opinions. Like, share, comment, subscribe down below. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification button. And as always, stay tuned on this episode of It's since #2, Dragon Ball Z narrator reference. Peace, bye. The girl that's in the Super Saiyan.